think, well, I've never seen so many people in the wrong place at the same time. So the 7-line prayer by Guru Rinpoche. So those of you who are unfamiliar or new, just chant along, just kind of fake it. Hung organ yugi nu jam sam pemargesart Pula yang sen chuki nu juvne pema junye shis dra gurdu kanju mangpu kur keki jesu daju jingi lap chi shesu so Guru Pema Sirium Organ Yugi Nujam Sam Pemarge Sarta Pula Yang Sen Chuki Nu Jubni Pema Junye Suja Kudu kanjo ma pukur keki jesu ta jugi jingu lap ji shesu so guru pema siri hung at Oregon's northwestern frontier on a stem and a corona of a lotus flower. Wondrous supreme accomplishment attained as a lotus-born renowned, encircled by a retinue of many dakinis, so that I may become like you. Please come and grant your blessing. Guru Padma Siddhi Hum. So take a deep breath. Just stop everything and just be the breath. Just become the breath itself. Okay? Just simply relax into your own nature. Own nature is what you're feeling right now. Just simply relax into what you are right now. That's all. Just simply relax. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to be anything other than just simply relax. Just intuitively, just relax the best way you can. So if you can't just simply relax without anything, then you need an object of support, like the mind or the breath. Just simply being just being that object in a very relaxed way, your mind will have something to work with. Otherwise, for a lot of us, our mind will just start to go in all directions. So either the breath or the mind, as far as that goes, anything else. But you have to pick an object and just simply observe or be that object. That'll automatically allow the mind to just start to be with that object and just start to relax automatically. Instead of going in different directions without any control, as it usually does. So those of you who are familiar, you can do the practice of just observing the mind. Those of you who are new, it's not clear what is meant by just observing the mind, then you can just simply observe your breath as you breathe. You're observing the breath with your mind, okay? By just being aware of the breath as you breathe. Just be the breath, or just be aware of the breath as you breathe in and as you breathe out. How complicated is that, huh? Just simply observing the mind. The mind becomes stable and quiet automatically. Same with the breath. Just observing the breath, your mind will automatically become quieter and more stable without having to think about that it's the mind, by simply observing the breath as you breathe. So you apply as much concentration as needed to prevent the mind from going out to other objects. So know that you realize the nature of mind by just simply being the mind and nothing else. There's no other thing. That you have to be to realize your own mind. Actually, we don't have to do anything to be the mind that we are at this very instant, which we ever are. Because we don't see that, experience that, or have realized that. We need to try to see or be the mind in whichever way we can. So maintain the clarity, the wakefulness while you're doing this practice. If you get groggy, or murky, unclear, start from the beginning. Find the breath, find the mind. Clarify the mind or the breath through your own experience, then keep on doing the practice. Just simply observing the breath or the mind. So take a break for a moment, relax. I have a question for you. Have you ever imagined what it would be like for you to be without the mind? What could you be without the mind? Huh?
But a mecha.
What? Has anyone ever thought about this?
Brendan, he was saying a robot.
Huh?
You'd be like a robot or a machine.
Oh, robot.
Yeah.
Well, even robot has to have power. It can't just function without any power, some source. So, for us, if we didn't have the mind, it would be no different than a corpse. That's what happens. When someone dies, we just think of it, the body just stopping. But it's actually the mind that leaves the body that makes the body totally inoperative, no longer has life. So it might be interesting for you to really look into that. That would be a way to help you to understand what the mind is all about and what function it plays in our lives. Another question would be, can you have anything without the mind? Of course, conceptually you can, but that's all fabricated by the intellect. If you didn't have the mind that perceived that experience, by the way, it's the mind that really experiences and perceives. There's nothing separate from mind. If you didn't have that, you wouldn't be able to perceive, you wouldn't be able to be aware, you wouldn't be able to experience. See how the mind is just the source of everything? But we never think of it that way. Or we don't look at it that way. Or we don't see it that way. Anybody else?
When we talk about practice, some people refer to it as an awareness practice. And we're practicing being aware. So it seems very odd to think about what it would be to not be aware.
Right. But
To-
first of all, there's no difference between mind and awareness, okay?
So that is hard to think about how to consciously think about not being aware or not having the mind.
First of all, is that possible?
I'm not sure.
Well, find out.
I'll look into it.
It's much better for you to find out through your own experience than me just simply telling you, you know. Then you don't have the certainty or the clarity, you know. Yeah. Can you be unaware even though we say, oh, I wasn't aware? What did you mean by that? Actually, you weren't aware of this particular thing that you were supposed to be aware, but you were still aware. Otherwise, you wouldn't know that you were not aware at that time. So it's impossible for you to be not aware. Even though we say, oh, I'm not aware. That's a sign that you're aware that you're not aware. This is how we start to find out, investigate who we really are. This is a way to investigate the true nature, who we are, and what everything is. First of all, who we are is not separate from the way everything is. So anybody else? I would really like to meet somebody who had the experience of not being aware.
I just have a question. I have not experienced that though.
Yeah,
If I am not my mind,
you're not what? You're not what?
like if I am not my mind, like the sun.
Right.
Yes, yeah. What does it mean, or what might it mean to witness choicelessly, to be aware without attachment?
First of all, it's impossible for you not to be your mind. Just as it's impossible to be not aware. What we call not aware is the small mind or the thinking mind. The mind that is not awakened. That's the mind that can only be not aware. But the mind that which is ever present, who you really are, cannot be not present. Same with the awareness. That's what we're trying to realize. That's the whole practice. That's what it means to become awakened. That becomes very clear to you. What this mind or this awareness is, which is the source of everything. It's the source of everything. It is also everything at the same time. And also is beyond everything to really confuse you. So this is what you have to find out if you want to really awaken. Of course, most of us are awake. You know, we're not totally asleep, but we're awake very little. To really point that out, when we're aware of something, we're not really aware. There's very little awareness or presence. There's a huge difference between really being present and aware everything that you perceive, feel, and experience than we normally perceive, feel, and experience. There's very little awareness and very little attention because mind is so divided. So that's what we're stopping when we did the meditation. Just observe the breath or the mind. That's how we start to clarify the mind. You know, you can't have any clarity of the mind when it's so scattered and you don't even know. You know, you're totally lost in the object of the mind. So why don't we do some more meditation and see if we can start to experience this mind, or who you are. There's no other you than this mind. The you or anything else comes after the mind. So if you want to learn how to meditate, that's all you have to do. You don't have to do anything complicated. Just be able to simply observe without being distracted to other things. Just simply observe what you're observing and just relax into that. The mind automatically becomes quiet. Starts to be peaceful. When mind starts to become quiet, peaceful, automatically your whole body and your experience becomes the same because they're not separate. So just simply being able to relax, not lost in anything, can be a great meditation. But if you can't do that, then you do it through observing the breath or the mind. So take a break again. Refresh yourselves. So any questions on meditation?
Thank you, Brendan. I noticed last weekend I was listening, live streaming your teachings, and the meditations were wonderful. I seemed to be getting some experience of what you were describing. And I thought, oh, this is great, I've got it. And then during the week, I would try to meditate with what you said, and my mind just went wild. It was, and I meditate fairly regularly, but it became, I couldn't do it. It was amazing.
Yeah, that is so normal. So that's the difference between a seasoned practitioner and someone who's not really familiar or seasoned. When that happens, shit, I thought I had it. What the hell happened? One period, one moment, as we practice, everything just becomes so clear, like you said, oh, I got it. The next thing, when you go back, you try to do it again, what happened? But that's not a big deal. That's just the way it is, because your habit is still there. Your conditioning is still there. But the important thing is once you get the taste, you have something to go on. Although we don't try to repeat the same experience, that can be a mistake too. So some of you are new here. Well, let me ask you, does it seem like to you that, well, let me ask you, do you know what really the mind is? Are you clear what the mind? You use the word mind all the time, right? And you know, in one way, you're familiar, you're comfortable. You use the word mind when you communicate with somebody. But do you know what it really means? What is mind? We have some vague idea. Do you know? Can you tell me?
Thank you, Brendan. I don't know, but I have a question. Is there a difference between...
Why? Hold it.
Better?
Hold it. How can you tell me you don't know the mind, and that's the very thing you're experiencing right now?
I don't know how to define it.
Huh?
I don't know how to define it. I don't know the definition.
No, I'm not asking for a ready-made definition. I just want you to tell me the way you perceive it to be. There's no definition of the mind, first of all. Don't even look for a universal definition. Mind can be defined in just unlimited way, because mind is everything. How can you pinpoint the mind? How can you, solidify the mind as something when it's not anything through some definition? But it does help have definitions. I'm not saying totally forget about the definition. Define the real definition. Mind can't be defined. What I'm trying to point out is this mind which you are, that is closest to you, then you really don't know what it is. Even though you think you know what it is. What I'm trying to tell you is what you know about mind are just all assumptions. They're not based on your own experience, what really the mind is. We're born with that. All of us are born with that. You know, this sense of I, this sense of existence. For some of us, we think that's the mind. Or we think this, what we call the soul, that is the mind. I'm not telling you this to point out how stupid you are. I'm just telling you this so you can begin to really question, to start to find out. You know, we think it's the situation and the objects that control us. Actually, it's the mind that controls us. Because it's not disciplined, it doesn't know what it is. It's at the whim of everything. It's at the mercy of all the objects. For most people who don't know what the mind is, their mind is at the mercy of all that appears, all that happens. But once you begin to know your own mind, what it is, how it operates, you stop being controlled by all the things that you're being controlled now out of ignorance. Does that make any sense at all?
It does. I wanted to ask something further, though. Is there any difference between my mind and your mind or her mind? Are they different minds? Or are they the same mind?
Well, it's like when you take all the clothes off the mind, how could there be any difference?
I'm sorry?
When you take the clothes off the mind, how can there be any difference? We talk about naked awareness, naked mind. Naked awareness, naked mind is mind that is not mixed with anything. The mind itself, or the awareness itself, is totally empty. It's not anything. But it knows. It has this quality of knowing, cognizance, clarity. There's no difference. That's where the problem comes in, because you notice the difference and you don't discern or know that it's not different at all. Yeah, it's different when we're alive and we don't know the true nature of mind, because we're lost in the manifestation of mind. If we really knew what the mind was or is, which is the source, then there can't be any difference. It's just like this quality of knowing. What you know and what I know is different. But the knowing itself, there's no difference. You see that? Just as the quality of knowing, awareness, is not any different than when you were a young child and when you're an old man. We see the difference. It appears different because the awareness or the mind is mixed with something. If you could just see the mind or the knowingness, then it would not be any different. Does that make any sense? You know, intuitively you can begin to understand and get what I'm trying to say. You know, it doesn't have to be clear intellectually or conceptually, but we're so used to receiving things that way, you know, it may be difficult to just intuitively receive what I'm saying and start to see the truth in that. So that's the pure mind, the pure awareness, the knowingness. You know, in the way the text John translates, Lama John translates, he calls the primal knowing, right? Yeah. Knowing, awareness, mind. Conceptually, they're different. Without any concept, one can still know, one can still be aware, one is still the mind, and there's no difference. So don't get stuck on the label. Use the label to help you. Don't get stuck in a label and confuse you. Okay, any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
In the vast plenum or void of the universe, isn't all mind? Meaning that everything is mind. It's just that some minds are slower than other minds, and therefore it manifests in a different way.
I just told you there's no difference. When you have the mind itself, there's no difference. In fact, there's no difference between the mind of the mosquito and me.
Well, I meant from the infinite living mind of the vast plenum or void of the universe. Meaning there's one mind that is far more superior, far more vast than mind of that of a gnat or a human.
No, see, first of all, one mind, all other mind, those are all just mental conceptualizations or fabrications. Only thing you can be certain of your own mind that you can experience. All the other mind that you're talking about is just simply a mental projection, fabrication.
So we can't experience pure consciousness?
Huh?
We cannot experience pure consciousness?
Of course you can. You mean you can experience your pure mind? Is that what you're saying?
Well, just consciousness in general, the vast consciousness of the void or the plenum, not so much like your individual consciousness. Can it be compared to that?
There's no difference. There's no other consciousness or mind than each mind of the individual. The mind of the individual, one individual to the other individual, when you really come down to mind, itself, there's no difference. When the mind starts to have objects, starts to go out from itself, yes, then you have the difference. But when the mind, your mind is pure, my mind is pure, it's not mixed with anything, it's not lost in anything, that's exactly the same. Doesn't mean that we lose our individuality. See, actually the nature of mind, the true nature of mind, is beyond any concept. That's why it's said is inconceivable, incomprehensible, and indescribable. Now, St. Thomas Aquinas came to the same conclusion about God. After his whole life of study and contemplation, he came to the same conclusion, that God is incomprehensible, inconceivable, and inexpressible. God, true nature, that's just label. We want to go beyond the label. Beyond the label is the mind itself, which knows, experiences. But if we're lost in what is experienced, what the mind perceives, then that totally obscures the mind or obstructs the mind from seeing itself or being itself. You know, if you don't understand tonight, well, you've gotten a lot further than I did when I was beginning. You know, I've been at this for a long time. It's still not so clear to me. I could talk about the mind in the way that you understand it, and everything. Everything is just, fits together, but that's not the way it is. The clarity that we have about reality is not the true clarity. What we think to be true, real, is not really real. It's real only in the way we think it is real. But it's not really real. Because real or truth is just something stable. That doesn't constantly change. So did I cause more confusion? Huh? No. Okay, good. I told you were far ahead of me when I started. Anybody else?
I feel as though everybody's here for a different reason, but I'm wondering, why are you here, and what are you gaining from this experience and teaching us?
Because I'm fulfilling my wish, my aspiration. Because this is my life. This is what I enjoy doing. But the main reason why I started, because I want to find out who I really am. I'm seeking the truth. In a very, it may sound trite, but I'm seeking the real truth. Truth that cannot fail me. Truth that will bring me peace and happiness and end to suffering. Truth that will allow me to connect with everybody so I can be of help in any way that I can. That's why I'm here doing what I'm doing.
Thank you.
Why are you here?
Peace of mind.
Yeah, see, we're all looking for the same thing in one way or the other.
Yeah.
You
Just
know,
going about it a different way,
right.
different path.
Yeah, basically we were all looking for happiness. No one likes to suffer, right? But the problem is that to point out that you're really ignorant of your true nature, we all want to be happy, but for some reason, we keep doing things that brings us suffering. Is there an exception to that here? Is there a person who does everything to bring joy and happiness? No, that's where the ignorance comes in. Because we don't know who we are. We don't know the true nature of all the things. There's no difference between the true nature of all things and the true nature of who we are. So why don't we just sit with what we were exposed to tonight? You know, we don't think much of just being able to relax, but it can be huge. And it can be the main part of your practice, believe it or not. I know other meditation teachers have all kinds of fancy instructions and everything, you know. Here, you know, I'm just like a dummy, just can only tell you one thing, just relax. But if you can do it, you may be amazed. Just simply be able to relax. How everything can just become totally perfect if you can just simply relax. In order to relax, you have to start letting go. That's how we free ourselves, by letting go. What we're letting go, when we're letting go what we are really not. All the things that we're holding on to, that's what's let go. When we simply start to relax and just let go.
Brendan, I have a question about resistance.
Yeah. You're not letting go. Okay, good.
Exactly. Yeah. So when there are times when
What?
there are times when the feelings are just flooding.
Yeah.
And things are happening that you don't want to be happening while you're meditating, when you're not meditating, all around you. And I don't know really what my question is, except for how to just persevere, or just how to be
Yeah.
How to just be with it.
But there are also times when you can let go, right?
Yes.
When you can just relax, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So though you should really take advantage of those times and really get into it as much as you can. But there are going to be other times, as you say. That's where it helps to have different ways to be able to let go. Like the simple practice of non-focusing, non-clinging. Well, we can start to not cling by simply not focusing. We can't just think about non-clinging or tell ourselves, don't cling, don't cling. You actually have to be able to do something. Well, automatically, for you to stop clinging. Focusing is synonymous with clinging. I mean, it's so simple.
Thank you.
Yeah, try when you're having a problem. Don't focus. Don't get stuck. How do we not get stuck? Not focus. That's how we get stuck, is by focusing. You know, I keep going over and over the potential of just simply the practice of not focusing, non-focusing. And I will keep on as we go. You know. So maybe you guys will stay home so you don't have to focus on me. So we'll end here. Okay? Let's do the dedication prayer. So, you know, maybe some of you had some positive experience, some insights. So when we do the dedication, we're dedicating that for the benefit of all beings. We're sharing our good deeds, our merit that we have accumulated through our practice. So we don't hoard it, we offer it, share it with everybody, and it automatically increases the merit. There's merit when you share the merit of sharing the merit with others, not just accumulating the merit for doing something. So you can get extra merit. In the world in general, in this nation, may not even the name of disease, famine, war, suffering be heard. May virtuous quality, merit, prosperity greatly increase. May continuous good fortune, sublime well-being perfectly arise. By this merit, all beings gain omniscience, and thus defeat the neurosis and negative action, which are the enemies. From the turbulent waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of cyclic existence, may all beings be liberated and be free. Thank you.
Thank you, Brendan. Thanks, everyone, for coming tonight. I know there's a lot of new faces, so if you are new and want to be on our email list, there's a sign-up out in the lobby. So we just send emails basically announcing when teachings happen. So feel free to sign up for that. And just updates on events that are going on. So Brendan will be teaching this this whole weekend. And he taught last weekend. This is his last weekend here. And hopefully he'll come back again this year, at least once. But he'll be teaching Friday at 6:30 p.m., Saturday and Sunday from 10 to noon, and from 2 to 4. So it is nice to come if you're going to come to hear the progression of his teaching, so come to as much as you can. But it's also fine to just come to one session out of the whole weekend, no problem. And so we have regular events at the center. Every Tuesday night is book group, and we're studying Words of My Perfect Teacher right now is the book. So you're welcome to join anytime for Words of My Perfect Teacher at 6:30 on Tuesdays. And then Thursday meditations. Every week we meditate at the same time, 7 p.m. on Thursdays. And then the center is open on Sundays from 10 to noon for you to do your individual practice. There's no one guiding anything. You can just come in and sit. And one other event, Lama John Ross, who he didn't teach last year, but he taught the year before, will be coming June 4th and June 10th and 11th. So June 4th, you can check your email soon. We'll be sending more details of timing and exactly what he'll be teaching. I think June 4th is Guru Rinpoche Day, so we'll probably do a soak that day, and he'll teach meditation, I think, in the morning. Beyond that, we're still deciding. He'll definitely do some trauma teachings for those that know what it is, but we're deciding on the rest of the topics for him. All right, did I miss anything? All right. Okay. I guess Thursday, to be decided probably. We'll see what, I think he's still fleshing out his whole plan. But definitely Thursday, whatever that Thursday is, the 8th or something. 9th. Thanks, everyone.